In the middle of his electrifying Wembley performance, Michael Jackson did something that left 72,000 fans in complete shock. He suddenly stopped singing and walked straight toward a dying fan in a wheelchair. What happened next wasn't just a gesture. It was a moment so powerful that it changed everyone who witnessed it and became the fan's most treasured memory in his final weeks of life. But what could possibly compel the king of pop to halt his biggest show and risk everything for one person he'd never met? To understand this moment that would define both their lives, we must return to that sweltering July evening when everything began. The summer heat of July 1988 hangs heavy over London as 72,000 people surge into Wembley Stadium, their voices already hoarse from screaming Michael Jackson's name. The concrete corridors echo with a symphony of languages: French fans who've driven through the night, German teenagers clutching homemade signs, American tourists who've spent their life savings on this pilgrimage. Outside, ticket scalpers demand astronomical prices as desperate fans wave cash in the humid air, knowing this might be their only chance to witness the king of pop at the height of his powers. The queue stretches for miles, snaking through London's streets like a river of anticipation. Fans have been camping for days, sharing stories, tears, and dreams under makeshift tents. Many carry letters they'll never deliver, gifts that security will confiscate, photographs of themselves as children when Thriller first changed their lives. The air thrums with nervous energy as people check and recheck their tickets, terrified that somehow this miracle might be taken from them. The stage looms like a metallic altar, its towering screens and blinding lights promising something transcendent. Roadies scurry across the platform like ants, adjusting microphones, testing pyrotechnics, ensuring every element aligns for what the press has dubbed the performance of the decade. The elaborate set design resembles a futuristic cityscape, complete with bridges, ramps, and hidden compartments that will later reveal backup dancers and surprise effects. Industrial-grade speakers hang from the rafters like sleeping giants, capable of projecting sound to every corner of the massive venue. Security guards position themselves along the barriers, their faces tense with the knowledge that tonight's crowd includes more than the usual hysteria. Word has spread through fan networks about the terminally ill supporters who've made this their final journey. Cancer patients, whose chemotherapy schedules were rearranged around concert dates, children with muscular dystrophy, whose parents mortgaged their homes for front-row seats, elderly fans whose doctors warned them against the physical strain of a stadium concert. They've come anyway, wheelchairs and oxygen tanks creating an unusual landscape in the front sections, their presence adding weight to what should be pure entertainment. As darkness falls, the first synthesizer notes of "Wanna Be Startin' Somethin'" pierce the night air. The crowd's roar becomes something almost violent in its intensity, a wall of sound that seems to shake the very foundations of the historic venue. Thousands of camera flashes create a strobe effect, turning individual faces into a blur of emotion and expectation. Programs and banners flutter like prayer flags in the artificial wind, created by massive fans designed to clear smoke from the pyrotechnics. The opening pyrotechnics explode in brilliant gold and white, and suddenly he appears. Michael Jackson materializes center stage in his iconic black fedora and sequined military jacket, and the stadium erupts in a response that transcends mere applause. It's a release of pent-up devotion, months of anticipation, and for some, the desperate hope that witnessing their idol might somehow heal what cannot be healed. Yet beneath the dazzling smile that captivated those 72,000 adoring faces, Michael Jackson carries wounds that no amount of fame can heal. The British tabloids have spent months dissecting his appearance, his relationships, his every public moment, turning his life into a grotesque carnival for public consumption. Each morning brings fresh humiliations, splashed across front pages, accusations of bizarre behavior, speculation about his skin color, invasive photographs taken with telephoto lenses that capture him at his most vulnerable moments. The words cut deeper than any physical pain, creating scars invisible to his adoring public, but felt with each heartbeat. The prescription bottles in his dressing room multiply weekly painkillers for joints that ache from years of impossible choreography, sleep aids for the insomnia that haunts him in five-star hotel suites, medication to calm the anxiety that threatens to overwhelm him before each show. His personal physician travels with the tour now, monitoring his declining health while enabling his increasing dependence on substances that promise relief but deliver only temporary numbness. The irony isn't lost on him. He who brings joy to millions finds himself unable to access that same emotion without chemical assistance. Tonight, as he moves through the familiar choreography of The Way You Make Me Feel, his body operates on muscle memory, while his mind drifts to darker places. The recent allegations have left him feeling like a caged animal, performing for the very people who devour stories about his supposed strangeness. Every smile must be calculated, each gesture analyzed for potential misinterpretation by a press corps that seems determined to destroy what they cannot understand. The paradox weighs heavily. He who craves genuine human connection finds himself surrounded by tens of thousands who love an image, a persona, but know nothing of the man beneath the glove. His health continues its quiet deterioration. The vitiligo spreads across his skin like a map of his internal struggles, forcing him to rely increasingly on heavy makeup and strategic lighting to maintain the illusion of perfection. His scalp still bears scars from the Pepsi commercial accident years earlier, a constant reminder of how his body has become collateral damage in his pursuit of artistic excellence. Each spin sends jolts of pain through his spine. Each jump lands harder than it used to, but he's learned to transform agony into art, to make suffering look effortless. The weight of expectation presses against his chest like a physical force. Every night, he must be perfect. Not just good, not just entertaining, but transcendent. 72,000 people have paid enormous sums to witness magic, and he knows that falling short isn't an option. Critics wait like vultures for any sign of weakness, ready to declare his career over at the first missed note or stumbled step. The pressure has begun affecting his sleep, his appetite, his ability to find joy in the music that once saved his life. But tonight, something different awaits him in the crowd. As he launches into human nature, the song's gentle melody creates a rare moment of intimacy in the vast stadium. This is when he allows himself to truly see the crowd not as a faceless mass, but as individual souls seeking something he understands all too well. The gentle opening notes of human nature float across Wembley Stadium like a whispered prayer, creating an island of intimacy within the vast concrete arena. Michael's voice, soft and vulnerable, cuts through the night air as thousands of lighters flicker like earthbound stars. This is the moment in each concert when the frenzy subsides, when performer and audience find each other in the darkness. His eyes drift across the sea of faces, seeking that elusive connection that makes all the pain worthwhile. Then he sees him. Front row, slightly left of center stage, a young man in a wheelchair, maybe 25 years old, his frame devastated by what appears to be muscular dystrophy. His head lolls to one side, supported by a neck brace, but his eyes burn with an intensity that stops Michael's breath. The young man's lips move silently, perfectly synchronized with every word Michael sings, tears flowing freely down his hollow cheeks in rivers of pure devotion. His family surrounds him, parents whose faces bear the exhausted grief of watching their child die slowly, siblings who've learned to measure time in doctor visits and hospital stays. Michael's voice wavers, then stops entirely. The band, confused, continues for a few measures before trailing off into uncertain silence. The massive crowd freezes, creating a vacuum of sound so complete that even the London traffic seems to pause. Giant video screens capture Michael's face in extreme close-up, revealing something the audience has never seen before. The king of pop looking utterly human, utterly vulnerable, tears beginning to form in his eyes. Security guards shift nervously, unsure whether this is part of the show or a medical emergency. Band members exchange glances, hands poised over their instruments, waiting for some signal that never comes. In the VIP section, record executives lean forward anxiously, calculating the cost of dead airtime and potential media backlash. But Michael remains motionless, locked in a silent conversation with the dying fan whose presence has somehow stripped away every layer of performance and pretense. The silence stretches beyond comfort, beyond professionalism, into an atmosphere both raw and sacred. A few fans begin to whisper. Others start to cry, sensing they're witnessing something that transcends entertainment. The young man in the wheelchair never breaks eye contact with Michael, his ravaged face radiant with a joy so pure it seems to illuminate the darkness around him. His mother clutches his shoulder, her own tears mixing with his, as she realizes her son is experiencing the moment he's dreamed of since his diagnosis, being truly seen by his hero. 30 seconds pass. 45. The digital clocks on the stadium's technical equipment tick forward, while every heart in the stadium seems to beat in unison. This isn't a performance anymore. It's transformed into a moment of raw human connection, a moment of recognition between two souls who understand what it means to be trapped in bodies that betray them, to face a world that judges them for circumstances beyond their control. The weight of the silence grows unbearable, electric with possibility and terror, as everyone waits to see what the most famous man on earth will do next. Without a word, without consultation, without regard for protocol or performance schedules, Michael Jackson begins walking toward the edge of the stage. Each step strips away another layer of his celebrity armor, until what remains is simply a man moved by profound compassion. The security team tenses, but something in his bearing warns them not to intervene. This moment belongs to forces larger than contracts or insurance policies. He reaches the stage's edge and kneels, bringing himself to eye level with the young fans. The massive video screens capture every detail. Michael's trembling hands as he removes his wireless microphone, the way his sequin jacket catches the stage lights, the complete absence of his usual performance energy replaced by a force infinitely more powerful. He extends the microphone toward the wheelchair, and the young man's family gasps collectively as they realize what's happening. The fan's father, overcome with emotion, helps guide his son's shaking hand to the microphone. When the young man speaks, his voice, weakened by months of deterioration but strengthened by pure love, echoes across the stadium with startling clarity. "I love you, Michael," he whispers, each word a tremendous effort that somehow carries the weight of a lifetime's devotion. "Thank you for making me feel normal." The stadium erupts, but not in the usual screaming hysteria. This response runs much deeper, a collective sob that ripples through the entire audience who have just witnessed the dissolution of the barrier between performer and human being. Michael places his gloved hand over his heart, nods slowly, and mouths, "I love you too," in return. For this moment, there is no king of pop, no global superstar, no carefully constructed image, just two souls, acknowledging their shared struggle with bodies that imprison them, and a world that often fails to see past the surface. The young man's mother later would tell reporters that her son Danny had been given 3 weeks to live when they made the journey from Scotland to London. She had spent the family's savings on front-row tickets, hoping to give her dying son one perfect memory. What she hadn't expected was for that memory to become a moment of mutual healing, where her son's courage gave Michael permission to be vulnerable, and Michael's compassion transformed Danny's final weeks into something transcendent. Michael finally stands, wipes his eyes, and signals to his band. But when the music resumes, everything has changed. His voice carries new depth, his movements flow with different purpose, and the audience responds with a reverence usually reserved for sacred spaces. The concert continues, but what happened in those silent minutes has altered the trajectory of the evening forever. Years later, When Danny passed away exactly 19 days after the concert, his family revealed that he spoke about that moment each day until his last breath. The Wembley incident, as it became known among fans, proved that sometimes the most powerful performance happened when the performance stopped entirely, when artifice gave way to authenticity, and when two people discovered that beneath all the differences imposed by circumstance and fame, human connection remains the most powerful force in the universe.